There's a lot of agitation in America over women's rights.
We're talking about ambiguous issues of a complicated kind where you have to balance conflicting interests and concerns, as is generally the case.
Abortion's legality in the United States was decided upon in the United States Supreme Court decision Roe v. Wade in 1973. The decision stated that a woman's choice to have an abortion was promised in the 14th Amendment, which provided for women's rights to privacy under the Due Process Clause.
Good evening. In a landmark ruling, the Supreme Court today legalized abortions. The majority in cases from Texas and Georgia said that the decision to end a pregnancy during the first 3 months belongs to the woman and her doctor, not the government.
Originally, the Roe decision established a trimester system of increasing state interest in the life of the fetus corresponding to the fetus's increasing development. Eventually, the trimester system was replaced by the 1992 case Planned Parenthood versus Casey, which changed the trimester system to the point of fetal viability, which is the time after which a fetus could survive. The decision established that the termination of a pregnancy up to 3 months was legal as confirmed by U.S. public opinion polls, confirming that nearly 60% of Americans support the legality.
My name is Suzanne Palpema, and I'm an abortion doctor currently, and I graduated from Harvard Medical School. I actually wrote this book called Why I Am an Abortion Doctor because I wanted to tell the world about the realities of my job and the preconceptions that people have about it and what actually goes on. Many people have misconceptions about what goes on in an abortion office and what an abortion office is like because they throw around terms like baby killers and the connotation of blood, and so they assume coming in that it'll be like that, but most people are very surprised when they come into my office because it's very nice. It's like a normal doctor's office. And we actually put a lot of consideration into how the patients are feeling. We give them a survey. Most places don't do this. We give them a survey asking like how they're feeling going into this because we want to help them through. It's a big decision. We understand that, and we want to help them through. Many people are concerned with abortion because of the safety regulations, but actually more people die from having a child than from having an abortion procedure on them. So it's actually very safe, and that's not a good reason to be against abortion.
There was a man named Cardinal Joseph Bernardine of Chicago. He's now dead. He came up with a phrase that I always liked. It was called the seamless garment. If you're pro-life, he said, you ought to be against capital punishment. You ought to be against war. Obviously, you ought to be against stocking up and manufacturing weapons of war. And you ought to be against the kind of politics and the kind of administration that creates and sustains and increases poverty, because the people who are poor, their lives are severely diminished. I like that theory. Not all pro-lifers agree with it.
Growing up and through college, I visited many countries, third world countries that are in poverty, and I experienced many lives of kids that were affected by this poverty, and they were just starving, malnutrition, just all this was affecting them, and I realized that their lives are so unhappy. And so as an abortion doctor, I don't want this to happen to kids that grow up in a poor family. If the parents can't provide for it, then they shouldn't have to keep this child because the child is going to be unhappy and could die, and that's just a horrible thing. So I feel like I'm really helping the world, and that's part of why I'm an abortion doctor.
I'm 21 years old, and when I was 17, I had an abortion procedure because I was pregnant and I had no means to take care of a child. And it is something I think about constantly, like the what if I had my child, but it's something that I'm in a way thankful for.
How many babies are there now that are unloved, that are not taken care of? And we do have abortion right now, you know, and there are still, I mean, who's going to take care of those children?
All these people who are so against abortion, if they want to take all those babies and bring them up and love them, and, you know, that would be wonderful. I mean,
Absolutely.
In a perfect world, that would be the most beautiful thing, but as it is, it's not going to happen. I mean, these fundamentalists are the same people a lot of times who are bigots who would never have a black child in their home.
Right.
You know, it's like, why aren't they adopting all the kids out of the orphanages? It's just terrible. You know?
I found out I was pregnant about a week ago, so I know I have to make the decision of whether or not to get an abortion soon. I don't have any means of support from my family, or even the father for that matter, so bringing a baby into the world is not really in the cards for me.
The main reason why I support having the choice of abortion is because I don't think that women should have to prove the reasons for getting an abortion to a lawyer or a judge or even their close family members, because it's their own personal decision, it's their own body, and they shouldn't have to prove to anyone why they need to lose this child, because if they can't care for it, then they can't care for it. It's their decision. They shouldn't have to tell anyone why.
Women were by definition, by nature, intended, many people believed, to take care of homes and children. And to say that's not true, but that women have a right to be lawyers and doctors and police officers, that was radical.
I studied mechanical engineering at Cal Poly San Luis Obispo because I wanted to pursue my career of being a mechanic, and it's something that I'm really proud of. I got my bachelor's and I'm going to continue to get my master's, and if I had a child, all of this wouldn't be happening for me, and it was not the time for me to have a child. Financially, it wasn't the time. My parents wouldn't have supported me at all. My boyfriend ended up breaking up with me anyways. I think that I had the right to choose what I wanted, because now I'm content with my decision, even though I do get remorseful on occasion. It's just something that I'm glad I chose, and I think that women should have the right to choose.
This is the second death, the lake of fire. Abortionists are murderers. Therefore, abortionists should be executed.
You want to know other sins that we execute people for?
Yes, yes.
There's sodomy.
And define sodomy for the...
Those are the sodomites over there. That's the definition.
What do you mean, because they're in favor of abortion?
No, they're sodomites. Most of your rabid feminists are sodomites, most of them. Most of the rabid feminazis are lesbians. And pro-aborts. I mean, they're pro-abort.
So a sodomite is someone who has sex with a person of their same gender?
Yes.
And they deserve what?
Execution.
I think that the pro-life radicals are extremely close-minded because they don't consider each and every woman and each and every woman's circumstance, and they don't take any of that into consideration, and they make really irrational assumptions, and they sound very uneducated in a lot of their statistics and such. And I just think that coming from a woman who has had an abortion, it was the right choice for me. I would never get one again. I'd be more responsible with my actions. But I do think that abortion should be legal, so it's available for those who need it.
When you can take people seriously when they talk about values, you can listen to what they say about other things like abortion, which is a hard question.
In no way do I believe that abortion should be used as a birth control method, but in circumstances like mine, it's a much better option than bringing a baby into the world and have it live in a struggling home. Without any support from anyone, making this decision is really terrifying, but I'd much rather have the option to have an abortion there than be forced to bring a baby into the world and not be able to care for it the way it should be cared for.
I don't think there should be anything controversial about making sure that women can have access to decent, say, obstetric care.
Having a baby